The story starts in the rush hour with people trying to go on about their daily lives. It's a hectic day as people squeeze themselves into the buses trying to reach their destination. Students are pushing each other and everything feels chaotic. The bus finally comes to a halt in front of a college, and a young guy comes out. He looks tired and defeated as he wonders how he managed to put up with all this madness back in his first year. This guy is named Sungwoo, and he is the protagonist of this story. One of his friends, Hanho Lee, hears him complaining and jokingly asks him if he was lying about serving in the special forces, since he can't even endure a hectic day in traffic. Sungwoo hits him back and mocks him for not even doing his military training. The two continue chatting and make their way to class. As they are walking, his friend suddenly stops and points at the sky. Up in the sky, there is a loading screen that has reached 99%. However, the MC fails to notice anything since he has trash eyesight. He starts mocking Hanho and asks him if he is still missing his girlfriend. His friend is certain that he saw something in the sky, however the MC isn't ready to listen. He simply thinks that his friend has been playing a lot of video games, and now he can't differentiate between games and reality. He tells him that he is just imagining things and slaps him back to reality. The MC tells his friend to hurry up since he can't afford to be late for class. Both of them finally part ways and move towards their own classes. The MC can't really focus during his lecture since he feels a bit sleepy. He regrets not having a cup of coffee before attending the lecture. However, this is something more than just fatigue. A huge screen suddenly flashes up in front of his eyes. It asks him which class will offer the best chance of survival in an apocalyptic world. Beneath the question is a statement requesting him to choose his class. The MC is reasonably confused as this bright screen flashes in front of his eyes. He rubs his eyes to make sure that he is not in a dream. The situation is made even more real when the electricity cuts off. All the students start panicking. It is currently daytime, but they still can't see anything in front of them. Moreover, none of their electronics work. All the students start to notice the same bright screen in front of them. They are all equally confused and wonder if this is a hologram or if they are having hallucinations. However, the MC knows that something is not quite right. He can now see a countdown on the screen along with a bunch of cards with different pictures and stars on them. As the cards start floating in front of everyone, the students decide not to touch them, since they don't understand anything yet. Sungwoo sees the situation in a different light. He thinks that it is more dangerous not to pick a card since they don't know what is going to happen after 15 seconds. As the timer continues ticking, he stares at the cards in panic. He doesn't know what to pick, but he can't waste any more time. Suddenly he notices a flash and it appears that one of the students has picked a card. A huge sword falls in front of the student out of nowhere. Moreover, the card he chose also disappears. The MC knows that he has to make a decision quickly. He starts to wonder which class will give him the best chance of survival in an apocalyptic world. Every card has a different number of stars on it. In a hurry, Sungwoo picks the card with the highest number of stars that he can find. This is the Necromancer class card. Bro is about to turn into Jinwoo. A few seconds later, the class selection concludes, and all the screens disappear. It seems like the classroom is back to normal. However, the nerdy student still has his sword. All the students stare at his sword in confusion. He tells them that it came down after he chose the warrior class. Hearing this, the MC wonders if he has actually become a necromancer since he can't feel anything different. Out of nowhere, one of the students gets stabbed by a pesky goblin. He screams and calls out to the rest of the class for help. However, everyone continues looking at him in shock as the goblin continuously stabs him to death. After killing the guy, the goblin looks at the rest of the students and they realize that they might be next. Everyone immediately starts running except our boy. To be honest, he didn't run because he was scared of catching the goblin's attention. Seeing the goblin enraged, the students ask the nerdy sword guy to do something since he is the only one with a weapon. However, he starts crying and refuses to fight. Seeing this, the MC realizes that he is officially screwed. As the goblin pounces at him, he starts running away. But he suddenly realizes that he will die if he turns his back towards it, so he turns around and kicks the goblin away. The goblin is smaller in size, so the MC decides to fight back with a chair. As it rushes towards him again, he squashes him with the chair like a nasty bug. After killing the goblin, he gets a notification telling him that he has received 10 gold for defeating a goblin. He looks at the message and wonders if their world has actually turned into a fantasy game. Another notification pops up informing him that he can control the dead under his command. At level 1, he can only control 3 goblins. As he is trying to figure things out, the goblin he just killed comes back to life as an undead warrior. Sungwoo finally realizes that his class allows him to summon the undead. As the undead goblin looks at him with its glowing eyes, 2 more goblins enter the room. The students start to panic again and scream for help. The MC stands in front of the goblins with his undead soldier awaiting his commands. Without thinking much, he orders the goblin to attack the enemy monsters. The skeleton starts moving and uses its blade to slash open the living goblins. However, the monsters start to fight back since it's a 2-on-1 battle. One of them manages to slash the left arm of the undead goblin. The MC realizes that he might have to step in if his goblin loses. The monsters didn't look that difficult to kill since they had a childlike body, however he needed a weapon. He quickly called out to the nerdy kid with a sword and asked him to hand over his weapon. The guy held his weapon tightly and screamed that he wouldn't be giving it away. The Mac told him to fight the monsters if he didn't want him to use his weapons, but the guy was too scared to fight. At this point, he should just toss him to the goblins and steal his sword. To help his undead soldier, the MC grabs a chair and throws it at the monsters. The skeleton soldier uses this opportunity to finish them off with its blade. The MC gains more gold for killing 2 monsters. He stares at the one-armed goblin as it slowly walks towards him with a cute expression. The MC gets a bit weirded out by the skeleton looking him straight in the eyes, so he orders him to look somewhere else. The skeleton lowers its head as if the MC hurt its feelings. Just then, Sungwoo gets another notification reminding him that he can control the undead. He quickly uses his spell to revive the 2 goblins he has just killed. He now has the maximum number of undead soldiers he can summon at his current level. As everyone tries to make sense of their situation, they start hearing cries for help from other departments in their college. The MC realizes that this stuff might not just be attacking their college campus, but the entire country. The outside view looks absolutely devastating. It seems as if the entire city is on fire. Considering their current situation, one of the students opens the door and suggests that they keep moving. Another student tells them to rush to the daysonging lot since he has a car. As they all run towards the stairs, a group of goblins appear from the shadows. The goblin monsters run at the group of students, but before they can attack them, the undead skeletons ambush them. The MC screams at the students to run as his skeletons take care of the goblins. In a panic, the students scatter and run toward different areas of the college. The MC tries to stop them, but then realizes that it is better for them to go alone. He knows that the game followed some sort of rules. He thinks to himself that his best chance of survival is to keep fighting since it allows him to become stronger. He watches as his undead minions continue to fight for him. One of the monsters goes crazy and slashes the head of his undead soldier. With one of his soldiers down, Sungwoo realizes that he might be in trouble. Now the 2 of his skeletons go against the 2 monsters. This time his skeletons manage to kill them and he receives more gold. He also notices that his level has increased. He opens his profile window to check out his stats. Instead of attribute points, he gets a level up card that gives him a random reward. He knows that it is based on luck, but it is one of the most important parts of the game. He finally chooses the random skill card, and it increases his maximum minion controlling capacity by 1. This means that he can control 4 minions at a time now. As he summons another skeleton, he realizes that he is low on mana. He surrounds himself with the skeletons and sits down to think for a bit. He still doesn't know what's going on, so he decides to focus on his survival for now. With his skeletons acting as his shield, he slowly makes his way downstairs. The situation down there doesn't look good, but he knows he can't stay on the campus forever. He orders his skeletons to lead the way and moves out. As the skeletons are going down, they come across Hanho. He gets scared upon seeing the undead goblins and smacks one of them in the head with his dagger. The MC sees him crying and calls him out. His friend asks him what the goblins are, and he tells him that they are kind of like his bodyguards. He then asks him about his class, and he says that he chose the rogue class. Since his friend was dumb, he chose a class with 1 star thinking that it would put him at the same level as a brigadier general. Even the minions were disappointed in Bro. He joins their group and all of them start making their way out of the campus. As they walk, the MC sees a notification telling him that he has acquired the effects of synergy since he is moving into a group. The effect requires the group to equip 5 daggers. It gives bonus gold and a chance to land a fatal hit on the enemy. The MC realizes that the buff applied to parties when certain conditions were met. Moreover, his skeleton army could also benefit from the bonuses. This meant that he could trigger this buff without even needing a party. As they slowly go down, they come across some minions and a giant monster who appears to be their boss. As he comes across the goblins, a notification tells him that the monsters are affected by the scent of death, which decreases their stats by 30%. This effect is only triggered when there are 4 or more skeletons of the same species. With this buff active, Sungwoo sends his skeleton minions to fight. They quickly overpower the goblins and start taking them down. However, the real challenge comes with the boss minion. He raises his hand to activate the Wild Berserker skill. This buffs the enemy minions, and they start turning the tide of the battle. The MC knows that he needs to stay calm in this situation. He knows that he needs to get rid of the buff if he wants his skeletons to have a chance of winning. He orders the one-armed skeleton to ignore the other minions and go after the boss. The goblin jumps at the boss and slashes its arm in half. Suddenly he gets kicked by the boss, but he has done his job. With the buff gone, the skeletons easily take over the enemy goblins. The boss minion doesn't want to die that easily, so it puts up a fight. Eventually, the boss also goes down and the MC receives some bonus gold. He notices that his boss has also dropped some items. One of them is a spear, and the other is a wristband that buffs nearby allied units. After claiming the items, he looks at the one-handed skeleton standing in front of him waiting for praise. Sungwoo smiles and pats it on the head, which makes the skeleton a bit excited. He decides to continue moving with his friend. As they walk, here's some people nearby. The MC orders his skeletons to hide so they don't scare the other people. A lot of students gathered in front of the exit gate. A guy tries to calm everyone down and assures them that he has contacted the student council. It appears that the main exit gate of the college is locked, and they can't get out no matter what. The MC already knows the guy. His name is Jin Seok, and he is a bully who also harasses women. He was part of the student council, so he acted like he was the one in charge. The MC wondered if he was trying to show off by pretending to be the leader. He tells Sungwoo and his friend that they need to help them protect the rest of the students since they have weapons. He asks him about his class and brags about killing a goblin. As the MC is cringing at the student council guy, the nerd with a sword runs in and informs them that he hears the sound of goblins near the stairs. The council guy orders everyone to hide in the cafe while they guard the front. Meanwhile, Sungwoo calls out to his friend and shows him the message on the door. It says that the door won't be opened until they defeat the boss in a set amount of time. The boss will only get stronger if it's not defeated in time. The MC realizes that he can't rely on anyone to save them, so they need to kill the boss if they want to get out. Just then he comes across Jin Seok again, who introduces him to the nerdy guy and orders him to hold the goblins. The MC asks him if he saw the message on the door. The guy tells him that he saw the message and he is waiting for a rescue team to arrive. He thinks that the Korean army could come in and save all of them. The MC knows that he can't just sit around and wait for help to arrive. As he starts moving back towards the stairs, he sees a bunch of goblins running towards him. The nerdy guy almost has a heart attack seeing the goblins. At the same time, the skeleton minions also come out, which causes him to panic even more. The MC signals the skeletons to stop and explains that they are under his control. He calls the student council guy an idiot and sends his skeletons to fight. Due to the synergy buff and the scent of death, the monsters have no chance to fight back. As the students stare out from the glass windows of the cafe, they see Sungwoo's skeleton army fighting the minions. The MC joins his skeletons and starts smacking the goblins using his spear. Jinseok looks at him in shock since he is planning to run away at his first chance. As the goblins try to escape, the MC orders his skeletons to block the stairs. He knows that he has to convince everyone that he can control these skeletons. In order to fight the boss, he needs them to team up with him. His bracelet activates the wild spirit buff, which increases the speed of all of his minions. These small goblins aren't a threat to him right now, but he knows he might have to fight stronger opponents later on. The students start to notice that the MC is the one controlling the skeletons. As his army cleared through the little goblins, everyone started cheering. The students are starting to trust him now. The MC looks through the dead monsters for any items, but he only gets a notification telling him that he has received a roulette ticket. He wonders how they will give him the ticket since he doesn't have any inventory. They all make their way back to the group. The MC smirks when he sees Jinseok and asks him if he is helpful. Everyone stands in silence for a moment, not knowing what to do. The MC tells them that they cannot leave for now since they can't break the door. He explains that they need to kill the boss first, and he is somewhere in this building. Hearing this, everyone starts to step back since none of them want to go against the boss. The MC tells them that the consequences for failing will be too bad, and they might have to face much stronger monsters. Suddenly, one of the students raises his hand and reveals that he has seen the boss monster. It seems like the boss is on the roof. Sungwoo knows that he has to go to the roof, so he asks the students if any of them want to join him. As expected, they are all scared to go with him. Even his friend wants to stay back, but the MC forces him to come along so he can buff his skeletons. As the two of them are talking, a girl named Jisoo interrupts their conversation and tells them that getting more people might be disadvantageous due to their narrow surroundings. She says that the MC already has his skeletons, so there is no point in bringing people who are even weaker than those skeletons. The MC thinks to himself that the girl seems a bit rash since they don't have enough information about the boss yet. He looks back at Jinseok, but he starts trembling and tells him that he needs to stay back and protect the students. The MC knows that he won't be getting any more people to join him, so he decides to head up with his current team. As they move up, they encounter a wave of goblins. The goblins surround them from the top and bottom of the stairs. Without a moment of hesitation, Jisoo launches herself at the goblins and slashes them into pieces. She uses a long sword and appears to be properly trained. Hanho is really impressed by her skills. Meanwhile, our boy is busy taking care of the skeletons on the top. After clearing through the wave, they start moving again. After climbing a few stairs, they come across the injured professor. The MC runs to him and asks him what happened. He explains that after the monsters attacked the campus, he led his students to the roof in order to keep them safe. However, this was a huge mistake. All of the students became victims of a terrifying monster on the roof. He grabs the MC and begs him not to go to the roof since he doesn't want him to die. The MC grabs his spear and stands up. He has a new quest now that tells him to kill the boss and avenge the professor. The quest also states that his choice will affect his destiny. He knows that this is a crucial moment of the game, so he assembles his skeletons and starts moving up. Once on the roof, they all get a message informing them that they have entered the boss room. The situation of the roof is catastrophic. None of the students manage to survive the boss's rampage. All that is left is some minions. Jisoo gets furious looking at this and decides to rush in and kill all the monsters, but Sungwoo stops her and signals her to wait. He knows that they need to stay calm and be rational in this situation if they want to survive. It doesn't take long for the goblins to notice the group. They all grab their weapons and start to surround them. Hanho asks the MC if they should run, but he wants to stand his ground and fight. He raises his hand and activates the Berserker spell. With this buff, his skeletons charge at the tiny monsters and start slashing them. The MC tells the group to treat the undead soldiers as their shield. He stays behind a minion and strikes the goblin when he gets the chance. Jisoo also does the same and starts slashing the monsters. Meanwhile, Hanho still doesn't know what to do, so he stands awkwardly. Feeling useless, he takes out one of his daggers and throws it at the goblins. His dagger hits and instantly kills the target. Bro even surprises himself. He was good at throwing since he used to throw away pencils from other students in his college. He immediately throws another dagger, and it also hits the target. My guy locks in as he realizes that he has found his talent. As the enemy goblins start losing, they get affected by a debuff which decreases their stats. They start running in fear and stop in front of a giant goblin. The group immediately recognizes that this goblin is the boss monster. With the boss appearing, the goblins get a new wave of motivation, so they jump into battle again. As the group tries to fight back, they witness one of the skeletons getting destroyed to pieces by a single strike from the boss. The MC frantically orders all of his minions to retreat. The boss continues to strike his skeletons, killing them one by one. He revives the dead minions, but he is low on mana, so he can't keep doing it for long. Hanho tries to surprise the boss by throwing his daggers, but he blocks it. The boss furiously starts chasing after him, causing him to scream for help. The minions try to help him, but the boss smacks them away. However, one of the skeletons manages to land a hit on the boss. This makes him even more furious, and he kicks the minion away. Out of nowhere, the sword girl shows up and slashes the boss while he is distracted. She lands a good hit, but it is still not enough to finish him off. The MC realizes that she is being strategic, so he decides to make a strategy too. He surrounds the boss with his minions and orders one of them to attack him from the back. As the boss turns around to defend himself, he launches the spear directly at him. It hits him in the face and he screams out in pain. The MC is almost out of mana now and he only has 3 skeletons standing. The boss recognizes this and laughs, thinking he has won. He immediately strikes using his sword, which makes the MC lose his guard. As the boss starts running at him, he knows he has to think of something, otherwise they will all die. Fortunately, he notices a sword lying around. The boss shakes everything while rushing towards the MC. Sungwoo sighs as he clenches his sword. He then commands both of his minions to rush the boss monster. The boss immediately smacks one of the minions to pieces. The other minions jump in the air and grab the sword passed to them by the MC. However, it fails to land the hit since the boss is too quick to defend. With the minion now holding a sword, the weapon synergy effect is triggered, increases attack speed, and decreases the weight of the weapon. Moreover, the minion actives the one-armed warrior effect, which gives it an 88% chance to cause a bleeding effect on its first attack. The MC knows that he can win with these buffs. He grabs a chair and rushes at the boss with his sword. At the same time, Jisoo and the minion also rush at him. He hits him with the chair to create an opening, and they all go in to attack. However, the boss slams the ground, causing an explosion and throwing them back. Suddenly the boss gets stabbed by a dagger thrown by Hanho. The MC knows this is his chance. He orders his one-handed skeleton to sacrifice himself so they can land a hit on the boss. The minion played an active role in the entire fight, but now it was time for it to die. In a shocking turn of events, the minion manages to hit the boss with its blade and triggers the bleeding effect. The boss finally goes down and the MC increases his level. He also notices that the skeleton has absorbed all the mana from the boss and has now leveled up. It was at level 2 and had the attributes of a commander. His friends tell him that they have also leveled up after defeating the boss. They all begin talking about their level cards. The MC chooses a random skill card. It allows him to create weapons from bones using mana. At his current level, he can only create 4 weapons, and the quality of those weapons depends on the bone. With the boss dead, his exclusive quest also concludes, and he receives another skill that increases the total number of minions he can spawn. He still doesn't understand the destiny part of the quest. While he is thinking, he notices a hood falling from the sky. His friend grabs the hood and tells him that it will increase his chance of hiding from the monsters by 50%. Jisoo received a fire whetstone. By sharpening her blade with the stone, her blade had a chance to catch fire during an attack. The MC suggests that they test their items and skills later since they need to keep moving. Back at the cafe, the students are starting to get worried. Even the nerd kid begins to wonder if they should have gone to fight the boss with Sungwoo. Hearing this, Jinsuk starts shouting at the students, telling them that they can just leave if they want. He says that if anyone wants to complain, they can go to the roof and die like the MC. The students start calling him out on his BS, since the only one protecting them is Sungwoo. Hearing this, he loses his cool and starts to verbally abuse them. He also tells them that the MC has died, and they have no one to protect them. Just then, a bunch of skeletons show up and scare the crap out of him. The MC returns and asks him if he wants him to die. He opens the exit door in front of him and gets ready to leave the campus. The group, along with the skeletons, glances back at Jinsuk. The MC asks if he has something to say. He feels slightly embarrassed and makes a face but doesn't respond. Behind him, other students start to whisper that he's only pretending to be a strong leader when in reality, he's still a loser. Ignoring all this, the MC, Hanho, and Jisoo exit the building with their skeleton minions. After inspecting the surroundings and finding it clear, Sungwoo notices a passageway and calls everyone to follow. As they walk further, they find several corpses with smashed heads and a variety of weapons scattered around. After examining the bodies, the MC concludes they were killed by goblins and wonders if any are still lurking on campus. Hanho suddenly gets excited as he notices a bunch of people in the distance. The MC and the rest approach the group. They all have weapons on them, and it looks like they have successfully fought the monsters and survived. Jinsuk pushes his way forward, grinning as he greets a guy named Daeseong. The guy also recognizes him and is a bit surprised that he has survived. As the two talk, Jisoo scowls since she already knows the guy. As Jinsuk whispers something to him, Jisoo and Hanho mutter that they are clearly talking about Sungwoo. The MC doesn't really care and he just stands there with a smile. Daesung introduces himself to the group as the president of the student council and comments on how much everyone has suffered. He tells them that they need to unite if they want to survive. He then points at the skeletons and asks about them. The MC casually explains that the skeletons are part of his class card abilities. With a hint of contempt, the council president asks the MC why he chose creatures that kill people. Sungwoo realizes that he is trying to make him seem dangerous. Daeyoung mentions that if he wants to join their group, he'll have to get rid of all the skeletons. Slightly irritated, the MC asks what would happen if he refused. The student council president dramatically raises his hand and asks the MC if he really wants to let the creepy and strange skeletons join their group. Hanho initially gets mad about the creepy part, but after glancing at the skeletons, he agrees with the council president, though he still finds them cute. The MC mentions that the skeletons are part of his class, and if he destroys them, he'll lose his weapons. He insists that survival in this new world requires protection, and the skeletons provide that. Daesung smirks and tells him that he shouldn't be worried since they will be protecting him. He asks him for the final time if he wants to join their group. Hearing this, Jisoo gets annoyed and steps forward while holding her sword out. She tells him that they don't even want to join their group, and points out that being on the student council doesn't make him special. Daeseong looks at her and asks if she's from the Department of Social and Physical Education. With a smirk, she responds that it doesn't matter anymore, as the university is destroyed. He suggests that they calm down and think about his offer again. This makes her even angrier. She reminds him how he embezzled student fees by forging checks during a festival, and reveals that she was the one who reported them on the university's website. Hearing this, he finally asks them to go their separate way. As the group begins to leave, he shouts at them, and says that they'll regret not staying together for the synergy effect. Imagine saying this to a guy who can spawn an army of skeletons. After getting away from the student council members, The MC asks Jisoo if she has a personal grudge against Daeseong. She tells him that he is just a bully who comes to school to hit on girls and harass women. Hanho grumbles as he hears that the student council president is a scoundrel. The girl suggests that they focus on getting out of the campus for now. Moreover, they should avoid places filled with people because monsters may be hunting for big groups. Sungwoo thinks for a second and suggests that they take the footpath by the hill since it leads to